Good morning. My name is Cindy Hackett, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees of the Tahoma Unitarian Universalist Congregation. My heart fills with joy as I see your names this morning, as I see you light your chalices and share greetings with each other in this sacred space. We welcome all who join us with a longing for community, the hope for peace and comfort. We welcome those who are seeking justice. We are a diverse congregation who encourages each member and friend to find their own truth and belief. We invite all who join us in a search for meaning and community, guided by reason, respect for each other, and by love. One wonderful thing about meeting on this virtual platform is the opportunity to welcome guests from outside our geographic area. I am dazzled and uplifted to see people attending from across this country and even beyond our borders. So a special welcome to new friends, and of course, always to our returning friends. We invite you to follow us on Facebook, where we'll post a link to the video version of this service and news of other ways to connect. And please watch for the e-news in your email inbox and check out our webpage for information on other upcoming events. And now gather your hearts and minds, breathe in and breathe out, and prepare to gather in worship together.
Our opening words are by Dan Schatz. Spirit, hear our voices. We call from our many rooms, opening ourselves to the gift of love, the gifts of community, the gift of music. We are many and we are one. We join with one another in the music of life. Its movements wash over us, sometimes melancholy, sometimes hopeful, sometimes defiant. It holds us when we mourn. It lifts us as we celebrate. It reminds us who we are and who we aspire to be. Spirit, hear our voices from so many rooms, gathered in one congregation. Give us vision. Give us one another. Open our hearts to your melody. It is so good to be together this morning, even though we are together in our separate places. I want to offer a special welcome to our guests this morning, Sandy and Pat, Emma's Revolution, who are going to be with us for the service and offer us their gifts of music and insight and care. And they will be leading us through a different chalice lighting than we typically have. And so let us just rejoice and join with them in singing and celebrating this morning.
Good morning. We're so glad to be here with you from Woodland, California. And we have a song for you that you can sing with us. In the first verse, when Pat sings a line, we'll all sing back the words, "In the light." And in the second verse, when Pat sings a line, we'll all sing back the words, "In the dark." And in the third verse, we'll sing, "We begin."
We've come in the light to this place, in the light with our hearts, in the light open wide. We are here in the light giving voice, in the light to the truth, in the light we define. Let us sing for today. Let us learn better ways, showing love in the light, giving hope in the light we create, in the light better days. are fed. In the dark we connect. In the dark through the veil. We are held. In the dark we are healed. In the dark mysteries. In the dark we reveal. Let us sing for today. Let us learn better ways, showing love in the dark, giving hope. In the dark we create, in the dark better days. Time is now. We begin where we are. We begin, we have all. We begin that we need to renew. We begin to release. We begin to rebuild. We begin to believe. Let us sing for today. Let us learn better ways, showing love. We begin giving hope. We begin, we create. We begin better days. Let us sing for today. Let us learn better ways, showing love. We begin giving hope. We begin, we create. We begin better days, showing love. We begin giving hope. We begin, we create. We begin better days.
Good morning. I'm Nancy Slocum. I am the Director for Religious Exploration for Children here at Tahoma Unitarian Universalist Congregation. Welcome all this morning, and I'm really hopeful there are some kids in our audience today. And if you don't have them there near you, now's a good time to call them close to your computer, because we're about to have our time for all ages. This is the time when we ask children to come forward in our service to the front of the sanctuary, and we tell a story for them at that time. Today we're doing something a little different. One of the things we've been doing in our religious exploration program this year has been focusing on song and learning new songs. And we are so lucky today to have Emma's Revolution here with us to teach us a new song. So Emma's Revolution.
Thank you so much. We're going to sing a song with you that has 3 words, some of which you might know. I know you know the word peace. You know that one. Then there's also the word salam, and maybe you've heard that. That's the word for peace in Arabic. It also means hello, so when you meet someone, you say salam. And then the 3rd word in the song is shalom, which some of you might know is the word for peace in Hebrew. You probably know some other ways to say peace. You might know paz in Spanish, or you might know a way that you could tell us in the chat, a language that you know how to say peace. So in this song, we're going to sing those 3 words, peace, salam, and shalom. And here's a little bit about why we sing this song and why this is the kind of song that we love having in our hearts and in our ears and our minds, so that if we're feeling a little upset or something, we can sing these words to ourselves, peace, salam, shalom, and bring ourselves some peace.
We wrote this song in response to September 11th, and it was a moment where I really needed a song. I was watching the buildings, I was watching the TV coverage, and I started singing these songs just to myself in my head. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. And we wrote that, Sandy and I wrote that into a song, into a 2-part round, and then we ended up, the song traveled around the world, much to our surprise and delight. And it landed with a military chaplain who was going to serve with a group of Marines in the north of Afghanistan, a military chaplain. It's kind of like the minister to the soldiers. And he went there, he arrived, and soon after he arrived, he found that the Marines that he was stationed with there were beginning to, in his words, dehumanize, just not being very good to the soldiers from Afghanistan that they were fighting side by side with, the allies that they were fighting with. So he had this song in his head at the moment, and there was also a video attached to it that some friends of ours made. So he played the video in their services, and their church there was a big military tent that sat high up on a ridge above the Sangin River down below. And anything that happened in that little chapel, that little tent chapel, would reverberate through the valley below, would echo through the valley. So he took his laptop and he turned up the volume and he played this video. And soon after, he found that the Afghan soldiers, their allies that they were fighting side by side with, started to gather around outside that tent, that little tent chapel on top of this ridge. There came a point in time where this base was too dangerous for them to remain. It was already considered to be the most dangerous place in Afghanistan. So they had to pack everything up, and they packed everything up. Now, those soldiers had gathered outside because they had never heard the words peace, salam, and shalom uttered in the same breath. So they were all packing up together and preparing to leave. And just before they left, this young military chaplain, Seth Bryant, took his laptop back up on that ridge, and he turned up the volume so that he could play that video one more time, and that the last words that would be heard in that war-torn valley that would echo down below would be peace, salam, and shalom. So we'd like to sing the song with you. Your part is a simple part. It'll repeat over and over again.
And you're going to keep that part going.
You keep that part going, and then we'll sing some other parts on yours. No, so you'll be muted there because Zoom can't catch up to all our voices at once.
But we'll know you're singing. So sing along, clap along, and bring some peace to yourselves, and let's send that peace out to the world today, right now.
So here's your part. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. That's your part. Peace, salam, shalom. 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 We believe in peace.
Salam, shalom.
We believe in peace.
Salam, shalom.
We believe in peace.
Salam, shalom.
We believe in peace.
Salam, shalom.
We will work for 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 peace.
Salam, shalom.
Jerusalem.
Shalom,
Ramallah.
shalom,
In Tel Aviv.
salam, shalom,
In Washington.
salam, shalom,
In Gaza City.
shalom, peace, salam,
In Cairo.
shalom, peace, salam,
In Tripoli.
shalom, peace, salam,
In New York City.
shalom, peace, salam,
We believe in peace.
salam, shalom,
We believe in peace.
salam, shalom,
We believe in peace.
salam, shalom,
We believe in peace.
salam, shalom.
We believe in peace. salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom.
Good morning, my TUUC family. My name is Patty McPhee, and I will be your celebrant this morning. Now is the time when we recognize the value of this community and how it supports us. Giving should be a spiritual practice that helps bring us together and allows us this space, whatever it may look like, to gather and support one another. During this time of separation, your generosity is more valuable than ever. For the duration of the COVID-19 separation, we will be using your donations to further the outreach of our beloved Tahoma Unitarian Universalist congregation. Please use the link in the chat for your offering.
Our meditation today is a poem from Leon Safford, Cutting Loose. I invite you to take a pause and a deep breath and listen to these words, followed by a time of stillness, ended by the sound of the bell. Sometimes from sorrow, for no reason, you sing. For no reason, you accept the way of being lost, cutting loose from all else, and electing a world where you go where you want to. Arbitrary, a sound comes, a reminder that a steady center is holding all else. If you listen, that sound will tell you where it is, and you can slide your way past trouble. Certain twisted monsters always bar the path, but that's when you get going best, glad to be lost, learning how real it is here on earth, again and again. Let us pause in stillness with one another. Oh, when we were rehearsing yesterday, we commented on how we tend to be a little folksy and kind of, chill about how things work out. There's your evidence of it yet again. I was so glad to have Sandy and Pat with us today. And when we were thinking about this, when I was thinking about having this service and inviting them to come and be with us and sing with us, it was partly because I was thinking about how important songs have been in my life. And partly that comes from when I was a young child. And my mother, some of you know, many of you perhaps know that my mother was very active in civil rights around the Washington, D.C. area while we were growing up. And so as a young child, 5 or 6 years old, she would take my brother and I along to protests that she was doing. She would take us to picket lines. And we would be there. We wouldn't have a lot to do, and we'd be bored. And on picket lines, they would sing freedom songs, the songs that were part of the civil rights movement. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, and we shall overcome. And if you miss me at the back of the bus. we learned all of those songs, and we sang them when we were driving, when we were traveling places, and it was just a really big part of my life. And when I thought about having Emma's Revolution with us, it was part of that lifted up in me, because their songs are those kinds of companions to me now. And so it's really great to have you all with us, and tell us some about kind of how you come to your music and what you bring and how you make this.
Gosh, this music of social justice, I think it really came into my mind through popular music first. I grew up about 35 miles from our local university, which was Kent State University. And when the students were killed there, I was 10. And, I remember when Neil Young's song about that horrific tragedy came out, and I instantly got the connection between the emotion of that horrible event when 4 students were killed there and 11 were injured, or 9 were injured, and the how that could be captured in music, and could be so powerfully conveyed. And that really stuck with me. And then I learned the music of Pete Seeger as I was growing up, and learned about Pete's work around the country, first around his environmentalism, and then around anti-war issues around Vietnam, because I was born in 1960, so those issues were still reverberating through my community as I was growing up. And that eventually I got to be friends with Pete, and learned very directly from him about his history in the civil rights movement and anti-war movement, and various movements, environmental movement, and thinking about that all a lot these days as we sit here in our separate places. And Sandy has kind of a different trajectory around those things than I did.
I think it's kind of what you were mentioning about how songs stay with you and become part of your life. I always could remember lyrics, and I loved to learn songs and sing songs. I really did not like to read books or have to go to history class or anything like that when I was a kid in school. But you could teach me any kind of song from a long time ago, and I thought that was really, really cool. Like, I thought it was great. I learned Renaissance music and music from the medieval era. So the idea that people have been singing as long as people have been on the planet, and writing songs about what matters to them, really touched me and made me feel part of this trajectory of life that we just never understand. How do I fit in? Where do I fit in? What's going on? And it made me feel connected to people in the past. And then I just felt like it was important as a woman to be saying things about how my life was for me, and to be able to present that perspective. But it all started with that it was much more fun to sing and remember songs than to study. That's how it started for me.
Right, and I had forgotten there for a moment that about y'all's connection to Pete, and that's been a big thing that you've done over the last couple of years, right? Since Pete died, you've done some work on that.
Yeah, I mean, I was friends with Pete for close to 30 years.
Bless.
We met in the mid 80s through a songwriter organization called the People's Music Network, and he was always very curious about young songwriters and what young people had to say, and really extended himself very generously, and spent a lot of time with us. So I had at least a couple times a year, and as I got older, more, because we did things. I went to the Hudson Valley and in the 90s, and started working with the project that he created to help clean up the Hudson River, and I worked with them for about 6 years, both on the boat, the Hudson River Sloop Clearwater, and also on their on land program, doing environmental education with school groups and community groups from around the region. And then I was we of course remained friends, and we would do gigs together periodically. Sometimes I would sit in for him when he had more requests than he could fill himself, and we remained friends and stayed in touch. And I lived in the Hudson Valley then for 13 years. Sandy lived down in New York City, and we started our work together while I was still living in the Valley. And then when I heard Pete was in his last days, I went up to New York to be at his bedside and sang for him, like many songwriters and performers that came through his room. Judy Collins and Peter Yarrow and all kinds of folks. And as he passed, just thought about all the remarkable ways that he touched my life from my very earliest years. Really, I listened to his children's music when I was in elementary school, all the way up through the environmental songs, and then working with him along the river and in many other situations. And I started writing a song called "Sing People Sing," and maybe we should just sing that with you.
Oh, that sounds great.
Sam's gonna grab my banjo from over in our little room, our little office turned studio.
So for folks who are watching and listening here, probably many of you know Pete Seeger's music, and maybe you even had heard him in person sometime during your life. He was very well known for having the audience sing along with him. And in fact, not even just only along with him. There's a story that I love about Pete when he went over to Spain during the Franco regime, right, Pat?
Yes.
And that was a time when progressives and people who cared about justice were being silenced in that country, and violently so, and strongly so. But Pete was supposed to do a concert, and he's in the backstage tuning up his banjo like Pat's doing right now. And these military men came in, these police, these Secret Service people from Franco's regime, and they handed him a list of songs and said, "You cannot sing these songs." And Pete looked at it, and it was really every song he planned to sing at his concert that night. And he said, "Okay." And he went out on stage that night. He had his banjo in his hand. He stood in front of the microphone, and he said, "Your government tells me this whole long list of songs that I can't sing, but they didn't say that you couldn't sing them." And so he started to play them on his banjo, and the thousands of people who were there sang all of these progressive songs, the songs that you know, Linda, the songs that they grew up with, that were part of their justice work. So here's this song that Pat started and we finished together about Pete. And there's a part for you. I'm in the same tuning.
Oh, good.
You'll get it.
And I was four-headed toy, made of plastic and of joy, a magic musical machine from a drum, a stick, and strings. I couldn't know as I would play, live to meet the man one day, playing songs that shaped my life, and taught the world to sing. Oh, hear the banjo ring, hear the people sing. Hope changes everything. Sing, people, sing. The summer of my 18th year, in San Francisco he'd appear. I jumped onto a trolley car, alone and wondering. The grove was full and I got there. People came from everywhere. I climbed a redwood by the stage to watch the reveille. Oh, hear the banjo ring, hear the people sing. Hope changes everything. Sing, people, sing. Years went by, got a call, a festival in early fall. Along the Hudson River shore, a harvest gathering, asking me to volunteer to keep the river clean and clear, to celebrate the river's life and all the gifts she brings. Oh, hear the banjo ring, hear the people sing. Oh, changes everything. Sing, people, sing. Stop to McCarthy's rage, rally for a living wage, rode with money, marched with Dr. King. Patiently brought us along, taught us each and every song. Though she by your side, you could do most anything. Showed us how the world could be, living with integrity. Together we create a force beyond imagining. As I observed your dimming light, I felt a spark in me ignite. That I would trade it all today to hear your banjo ring. Oh, hear the banjo ring, hear the people sing. Oh, changes everything. Sing, people, sing. Sing that again. Oh, hear the banjo ring. Hear the people sing. It really does. Oh, changes everything. Sing, people, sing. Sing, people, sing. Sing, people, sing.
Oh man, that makes my heart happy.
Oh, I'm so glad. I see Pat's fingers. Pat, play a little bit on your banjo now. that
Okay,
we've
hold
got
on.
you. And then we can talk a little bit about what it means to be able to, for everyone to sing.
Yeah, well, I had said to Sandy when we were talking about this that as I have mentioned many times in my congregation, I am enthusiastic, though not necessarily skilled at music. And while everyone tells me I do perfectly fine, I still think of that as how I am in music. And Sandy had a few things to say about that to me.
I did. I think that, singing is our birthright as human beings. It is something that we do all the time. If you're hanging out with kids and babies, you know that they will sing about anything. And what I think is that there are people along our lives, along the way along our lives, who tell us that we can't. Mm-hmm. And I had a choir director in college who was really sure that I just couldn't sing. And I don't know where she is, but I sometimes tell the story because maybe she's listening, and this is what I do now. So that was her opinion, and that wasn't actually the way that I needed to live my life. And all of it reminds me of one of my favorite sayings that I've seen. It's from Zimbabwe, and it says, "If you can talk, you can sing. If you can walk, you can dance." And the point is, everyone's voice is welcome. And the way that justice music works is that when we're here singing with you in a service, or if we're outside at a demonstration, or if you're at home yourself, your voice matters. We need your voice as part of the creating community, as part of sharing that feeling of joy, or sharing that feeling of intensity when we are something that we really need to work on. And this is such an intense time. But music is a way for us to connect at every age and through every choice of how we feel about our voices. And actually, this Zoom world that we're in now is kind of perfect. So all those people who generally sit in the sanctuary or in the fellowship hall with you all and think, oh God, I don't like to sing in front of other people. This is your chance. You're singing in your own home, with your cat. Your cat loves how you sing. So we invite everyone to be part of this and really bring your voice.
Yeah. One of the part of the story of my mother on picket lines was that at one point she was walking and they were singing, and some of the hecklers there started shouting at them, "Yeah, what do they pay you to come and protest? How much are they paying you?" They still say that to us when we're out there protesting. And my mother yelled back at them, "They pay me a lot because I sing extra loud and I bring my children." And,
nice comeback.
yeah, it was a great moment. She had her good moments, without a doubt. So yeah, that's probably part of where I get my singing energy, that I come enthusiastic. I have to admit, it does make my daughter a little, but there it is.
Yeah.
That's just part of life.
That's just
Part of how
differentiation.
it goes.
Yes.
Kids just
Sorry,
have
say
to-
again.
I said, that's just differentiation. Kids just have to do that. It's their job.
Yeah.
Indeed.
But I can't tell you
Indeed.
how, as a songwriter, one of the most amazing things for me and why I ended up becoming, a justice songwriter is that feeling of writing a song that spoke to an issue that people cared about and were working on, and having their work reflected in a song back to them. They were just so excited. Living in London at the time, and I went to an exhibit of artwork done by children, answering the question, who works for me? Mummy, sister, auntie. And there were these pictures of kids drawing pictures of themselves because they were cooking, because their mom had to go back to India to take care of the grandmother, or pictures of kids drawing their sisters who were helping them to teach their younger brothers, all of that kind of stuff. And of course, men and boys working as well too. But I really thought it was a powerful visual, and I ended up writing a song and going to this event that organization, the Wages for Housework campaign, was holding. And when I sang the song to them, and they were so excited because I had created art from their work and reflected their work back to them, I was totally hooked. Like writing a song that mattered to other people and that supported their work really made me feel like this is a way that my love for music can also support my love for equality or fairness or justice or peace and all of those things that we care about. And we do work on all sorts of issues, everything from peace, as you heard, through all sorts of rights issues and issues around the border and everything. And then love and fun thrown in there too, because that's crucial.
Well, and you have so many hopeful songs, so many songs that we listened to and sang along with Swimming to the Other Side a few weeks ago, and it's especially in this time where it just feels like we're kind of constantly swimming. At least it does for me. To know that we're swimming someplace, we're swimming to a place that we can get to. It's one of the things I appreciate about your music is that it's justice based, and it's also got this moving forward. not to name another song, but
that one's on the order of service already.
that inspiration to lift our hearts and to keep us going. And the joy of being in voice with one another. It's just, it's such a gift to the world. It's a gift to be singing it with you. You are paging through. I suspect you have.
No, we're just looking for. We have to get ourselves off of a paper page and onto something searchable. But there it is. We were just looking for a song.
Yeah, you
I
just
was
made
trying
us.
to be really stealth about it and like not distract from the conversation.
Yeah.
This is.
But you made us think of a song.
Okay, awesome.
I wrote this song for a number of years ago for Sandy, actually, and it was just a a moment when she was particularly stressed, and I just wanted something to say, to, you know, be comforting, and it has so much kind of risen to the surface lately as a song that I need in these uncertain times. And we sort of named our Shelter in Place concert series after it, Shelter in Song. And because this, you know, all of a sudden, overnight, pretty much having, well, over the course of about a week, having all of our work disappear was, you know, really nerve-wracking for us until we got up to speed a little bit with the technology, so that we could stay in touch with you all through services and through concerts and workshops. I found myself fairly panicky there for a while, and this song has been a great companion. Speaking of you know, remembering songs, singing songs to yourself when you need them, this is definitely one of them. If I love you all my days, would it be so strange if it stood in sharp contrast to all the bad news swirling round? We can take it just so much. We forget to touch. Then we pause for a moment in the eye of a storm. There is calm. Let me be your shelter. You can come and rest. Let me be your shelter. You can come and rest in me. In the time that we have now, we are learning how to seek sanctuary wherever we are in this love. Let me be your shelter. You can come and rest. Let me be your shelter. You
I think there's not much more to say after that than amen. What a beautiful gift of music.
Thank you.
I would invite us all, after I say thank you again to Sandy and Pat for the gift of their music and their stories this morning. For all of us, I would invite you now to pause and take a breath, a deep inhale and exhale. If there has been something this morning that has touched you, has moved you, has spoken to you, I invite you now to set an intention for how you will carry that from here out into the world. Let us pause in stillness.
Thank you. We're so glad to have been here with you. Really beautiful. And thank you for welcoming us. So this song, we're going to sing it together in English and Spanish. And if your Spanish is not something that comes to you readily, let me teach you some of the parts that come over and over again, that happen over and over again in the song. In English, we're going to be singing Keep on Moving Forward. In Spanish, those two words are sigamos adelante. So you can try that. Sigamos adelante.
And they repeat several times, so you'll get many chances.
Yes. And then when in English, we'll be singing Never Turning Back. And those three words in Spanish are sin volver atrás. So try those three words. Sin volver atrás. Those words happen over and over again. So, and in the midst, some of the words will change, but the word always will almost always show up in Spanish, and that word is siempre. So try that.
Siempre.
And I will prompt you, use your voices, use your hands, sing it out, and dance with your cat.
Thank you so much for having us. Gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Sigamos adelante.
Sigamos adelante. Siempre, siempre,
Siempre adelante.
Siempre adelante.
Siempre adelante.
Sin volver atrás.
Sin volver atrás. Sin volver atrás. Gonna keep on loving boldly. Keep on loving boldly. Keep on loving boldly. Never turning back. Never turning back. Amaremos con pasión.
Siempre con pasión.
Siempre con pasión.
Siempre con pasión.
Siempre con pasión. Sin volver atrás. Sin volver atrás. Gonna reach across our borders. Reach across our borders. Reach across our borders. Never turning back. Never turning back. Vivamos sin fronteras.
Siempre sin fronteras.
Siempre sin fronteras. Siempre sin fronteras. Sin mover atrás. Sin mover atrás. Gonna reunite the family. Reunite the families. Reunite the families. Never turning back. Never turning back. Familias reunidas.
Siempre reunidas.
Siempre reunidas. Siempre reunidas. Sin mover atrás, sin mover atrás. Gonna keep on moving forward, keep on moving forward, keep on moving forward, never turning back, 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 never turning back.
Our closing words are also by Dan Schatz. Spirit, hear my voice. I am rising, I am growing, I am finding myself, and I am not alone. Spirit, hear my voice. The path may be uncertain, my way unclear, but I have strength within, made more powerful by those who move with me. Spirit, hear my voice. Fill my heart with hope when I am unsure. Give me courage. Remind me that I am never alone. I rejoice in myself. I rejoice in my people. I rejoice in my community and in my congregation. Together we will rise. Spirit, hear our voices. Wherever we are, wherever we go, wherever our hearts need this day and every day. May we all go in peace. Amen.
Yes, I'm up now. Thank you all for joining us. And please join me in the extinguishing of the chalice. The words are in the chat. As Nancy extinguishes the flame, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please join Zebriel with our closing blessing song.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and by this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and by this we live.